does it hurt so much when the day breaks? Why does it hurt so much when the day breaks? It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show on your radio. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show on your radio. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show.
All right, good morning. Let me get the music stopped here. Sorry, I was on another screen. It is good to be with you this morning, the Cornbread Man Morning Show. I'm Dave in the AM. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers on their very amazing close win last night. It was a little bit closer than I thought it would be, but I did predict, not bragging, Carson Beck would throw an interception late. And that's exactly what happened. Disappointing that it seemed to me that he ran off the field and did not take the time to congratulate the winners. Many say that's been his problem all along. So he does not walk away with a trophy. They could have won that game, very easily could have won that game. A couple of things here and there, and especially after the late jump by Indiana, which cost them probably a touchdown. They could have easily won that game. I mean, it was very, very close. You know, if they don't have to get a touchdown, they have to kick a field goal to tie, probably have overtime. Those things, though, will never be known because it didn't happen. So congratulations to a perfect season. That is rare in the college football ranks, and they get the win and their first ever national championship. And on to the NFL goes the quarterback and probably a few other players. And tough loss for those Miami fans who we came very, very close. Very, very close. And those kids played hard. I mean, it was a hard-hitting game. I will say I didn't care for some of the hits that were going on in that seemed to be should have been called on the quarterback. They were definitely trying to send a physical message to him. Guess what, Miami? It didn't work. If anything, you made this guy mad. It's like the Incredible Hulk. You wouldn't like me if when I get mad, and that's what it looked like. It was like, okay, you bloodied his mouth. He kept getting. He got you back on that fourth down run when he got hit. I mean, really hard twice, and got into the end zone for what become the play of the game. And shout out to them. It's not my team, but I'm not a bandwagon jumper or anything. I'm a Georgia fan, and I'll always be a Georgia fan. But I was rooting for Indiana because, for a couple of reasons. One, never winning it before. I really liked this team. I liked the moxie of the team. I thought they played extremely well all year. They deserved to be national champions. But you got to go out and win it. They did that, and it was really cool. I watched just about all the celebration. I was up kind of late. Just wanted to enjoy the moment with them, celebrate with them, and we'll see. Now we'll move on to next year when that time comes. And so, football season always seems like it flies by to me, and as I get older, it seems like it flies by even faster, like everything else. But it's amazing, amazing season. A lot of neat things happened. Expanded playoffs will be coming. Probably maybe not this 2026, but in 2027, I would look for expanded football playoffs to at least 16 teams. I think that's a given. The discussion will be whether it's going to be 24 teams, more money. But they did a good job. I thought the broadcast did a good job. It was just really good fans. It seemed like it was no problems or anything like that. And like I said, a couple of things post game. It was a punch thrown at one of the Indiana players. I don't know if there was anything said. And then, like I said, Beck walking off the field and not going out there and congratulating them. You need to learn better. Well, he goes on the NFL, and we'll see how he does there. He's definitely got the arm strength for it. Can he manage the game? He took some shots too. There was one there late in the game where I didn't know if he was going to get up. I mean, he got hit really hard. It was a very physical game. These two teams are not cupcakes. They're very much bringing the heavy artillery. They're very big in the trenches, very very strong. NFL talent all over the field, and they've done well. And this team got really good after only 2 seasons. I mean, they were like 3 and something, 2 seasons ago, and got coach, got some transfer portal players, and turned it around. So we'll see. Well, I think they would win it next year. Probably not. I mean, your quarterback leaves. We'll see who they replace him with. That'd be hard. That'd be hard. But you got one for the ages, and SFP Sports congratulates the Indiana Hoosiers, not on basketball, but on football. Go figure. It'd be like Kentucky winning the football championship down south. They've had some good teams, but not national championship material teams. All right, let's look at our Bible verse for today. It is from the book of Psalms, chapter 12, verse 6. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. That is your Bible verse today, Psalms 12 and verse number 6. God bless you today. And we really enjoyed our interview last night with Sean Harton from up in Canada. Learned so many things on that side of the border from his perspective, and the cost difference, the penalties and duties and taxes and whatever, tariffs, and the challenge they have. It was really nice to get that. Learn more about racing up in the extreme northeast, or somewhat extreme northeast, not very extreme, but nice look. Tonight we have his wife on, Jess, who he was fixing the car for. I thought he raced some too. I didn't know he didn't, but he was around racing his whole life. And so now we get to talk to the driver who has been racing a long time. And we'll get more of that story from the other side of that. Neat perspective. And every driver or every person we've interviewed in the Dirt Report series, every one of them have had a good time and thanked us and said they would be glad to be back. And so we will have him back at some point in the future. Some of them, he's a character, and I like that. Just shine through. Most of them have been, and that's what we want. I told him before the show, it's your story, man. He goes, that's a crazy story. We want to hear it, see it, share it with us, and we had fun with that. It's good to have Paul Biscuit Boy in the studio. He's not going to be able to be here the rest of the week because they're going out of town, so he joined us last night, and I'm glad that he wants to do that. He likes to talk sports. Had a lot to add being around dirt track, and of course Dean, as always, co-host of the racing and sports shows. But it's nice. I'm glad that he wants to be in studio and wants to be on shows, and misses it. He's going to try to get us a couple of maybe live shots or even interviews, short interviews with folks in Nashville with their group. And some people have made great successes of their life in a business way. Have went from selling vacuum cleaners to being multimillionaires. Those are great stories. That's the American dream, right? To be able to be anything you want to be success wise. And you can still do that in America. Is there things that get in your way? Sure, like regulations or other things that are slammed at us and things our country is battling with. But it is still doable. There may be roadblocks and obstacles that you got to get through that shouldn't be there. But you can do that in America. You can still be what you want to be if you're willing to work hard enough for it and not listen to anybody. I mean, anybody tell you that you can't. Now, the naysayers, you've got to put them, in a box and say, I'm just not going to listen to that. You can listen to wisdom. Wisdom is wise but just naysayers. They don't want you to succeed. They want you to fail. You can't listen to those folks. You got to tell you, it doesn't matter if everybody tells you that. If you believe in your dream and your passion, go for it, and don't let anybody stop you. No matter how many times you fall down, keep going. after all the success really is the journey. The end result is just the fruition of that, but the journey is what makes it worthwhile. It's like a marriage. You look back over many years, decades of being married, and you look at you see the hard spots. You see parts where it was a great struggle. You battled through some maybe great difficulties. Could be financial, could be anything, but you see these great mountaintops where you look back and you look over them. This year will be 40 years for me and my wife in April, and you can look back and you can see all these great high points, and it's a blessing. And us as our walk as a Christian, we don't look back, but as we survey what God has done, we look back and we see all the times that footprints in the sand kind of thing. I mean, you see those times where it looked like utter disaster, and God had you in His hand, and you see that you look back and you're like, wow, God just time and time again shows you His greatness and faithfulness and everything else to always be there with us, never leave us nor forsake us. And I look at all those things like that because I think it all has an application. And when you look at those things, and at the end of your days, hopefully, you've laid it all on the field, as they say, to bring in a sports analogy. you poured it all out on the field. You didn't take nothing to the locker room, and that's what we should be doing. As parents, as people who work and have success in business or whatever our career is, our walk as a Christian. Our role as a spouse or whatever it is, a friend, and you look back and sure we fail sometimes. We may fall down flat. We may have had really massive failures in our life. But if we keep pressing forward, if we keep having faith, if we keep not continue to make the same mistakes, to overcome those things, we can look back and we will be able to see, wow, what a testimony. Maybe it's your grandchildren or great grandchildren, or even great. You may be able to see that before you pass from this life to the next. Excuse me. And you see how God has faithfully just blessed your life, and I think it's neat. I know it's made up, but there is that point, and it's a wonderful life. There is that point, not the angel part and all that, but the difference that his life had been to people, and then being able to see that. What if you had never been here? I find that fascinating, that part of it. They brought humor into it and the angel and all that, but getting your wings and all that, Matt. But that part is so true. What if you had never been on the scene, and what would that meant for people? I look at my grandchildren, and because of our union, we have these grandchildren, and in a few years, great grandchildren, and you just look at that and you're like, wow, so no matter how hard it's been, no matter the twists and turns, you can look and see that over the length of your life, things that you've been able to do. And yeah, sometimes life is cut short, and you look at those things and you're like, well, wow, we don't understand the why. Sometimes we don't have to. We just have to trust that for whatever length of time, it made a difference in somebody's life. It made a difference, no matter how short. Some people live a long time, they never accomplish anything. They live a life of regret. They live a life of failure. They always live as a victim. They never press forward. They always look for excuses of why not to succeed or work hard or whatever it is. In that, you can still be blessings. God can overcome all of that, but still, when you live a life that is dedicated unto God, you live a life every day, you're willing to work hard, be that, quit making excuses, just keep getting up and say, I'm just going to keep moving forward, then you'll see great things happen. Doors will open up that you could never see because of your faithfulness. I told you, they did a study years ago. They went back 200 years, I think it was, in two families' lives. And they on purposely selected a guy that currently that was an alcoholic and a failure. And they looked at a guy that was another family where this guy was great success. He was a Christian. He worked hard. Anyway, they look back in his life. And although there were little blips here and there, very small blips, like the alcoholics in his over 200 years, his family, there had been a couple of people that had broke out of that generational curse or whatever. Good morning, Stolen. How they had seen that. They had been people, you don't have to be that. But by and large, because they lived a life of addiction and whatever. It was a lot. It was their history was filled with it. Whereas the guy who was serving God, faithful, they look back in his and in his life, in his history, 200 years, they found a couple of folks that, and this is direct, not looking at cousins, just straight line. They found a couple that had fallen and fell and were not, maybe even addicts or whatever. But by and large, that family was successful because they were faithful unto God. So yeah, you can always find examples of good or bad, no matter what it is, because you can overcome, or no matter what somebody else has done, you can be that failure if you choose to be that. But I think it's a testimony. And if I look at my family, I'm talking about back in my direct line, I see, as I've done genealogy, and I only know the immediacy or stories my dad told me on my father's side. And I look back at my family, what I see is a family that have always been people of faith. They've always, for the last, 150, well, probably 200 years, I guess I could probably say I went, because I went back into, certainly went back into the late 1700s. And time and time again, it was people who had served God, were faithful to to their community, and good people. It's good people, hardworking, industrious people that, no millionaires. they, they were hardworking people. Some were scribes and some were wagon makers, a little bit of skills there. Most were farmers. They were just farmers. They were hardworking, industrious people who worked the land, who got up every day, and they weren't lazy. They got with it and did their duty. Always went to work. I've always worked, and my dad instilled that in me. His dad instilled it in him, and so on and so forth, all the way back. And you just saw that time and time again. And although I did do some of the cousins, and you see that same thing, that they were very tight. I talked to a lady who knew when she was a child, that she remembered my people that in my direct line. They were all real close. And she said over the last few years it's drifted, some we don't stay in contact like we used to. But she told me stories, and those stories told about how they were, even that direction, they were serving God. And there was one quote from one of them, or not from them, but about them in their church, that the church had actually taken out a newspaper article to tell how they were always a joy to be around, smiling, just a credit to the community of their church and whatever. They felt enough about this person to put a little article in the paper about them. They were just, later in life. And, that's, our family's always known as, we like to cut up. We choose to be happy. We don't, we're stubborn people. But people of faith, and, that shines through. And I think that's all I'm saying is, if you want to be that success, you can be it, and let God will help you determine what that means. Success is not always money or career, but you can be those things. You can be successful. You can have all those things if it's put in the right proper context. It's not about a collection of toys or stuff, but is your success individually, and along with that hard work comes great success. I don't know where there were many people in the Bible who were would have been considered multimillionaires for their time. If you look at what they had, the stuff that they were hardworking, they served God, and they were very fruitful people, and God blessed them, for that. Abraham would be one of those. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Money is a tool, as we say here of the Ascending Group. Money is a tool, and to give all those things to God and be successful that way. National Day today. It's National Cheese Lovers Day. I wouldn't say that I love cheese. It has a couple of applications for me that I like it, but I'm not crazy about it. But some people are. Some people are cheeseheads. I'm not a cheese lover day, but that's okay. It is. A lot of people love cheese. I'm just not a big fan of it. But on a hamburger, or I could think of maybe one other thing I do like it on. I'm not big. My wife loves cheese. It's also National Disc Jockey Day. I always thought, back in the day, not now, not with what they have playing today, but there was a time when I really thought that I wanted to be, on the radio. I'd even checked in that a little bit. Of course, there's no money, but I'd have done a little radio, but on ministry side. But I actually sit down and talk to engineers, and there was just a part of me that always liked that idea of playing the tunes. I always loved music, and to be that person who maybe you sit up somewhere. I actually did that a couple of times for people having gatherings, and I just played the music. They didn't have anybody else, and said, "Hey, could you help us out?" I said, "Sure." I always had a lot of good morning, Daryl. Always had a lot of music. I have pulled a great collection of my albums out, and on the music show, I'm going to start sharing albums of the week, maybe one or two albums of the week. And to be honest with you, I forgot a lot of what I had in albums. I never got rid of the albums, but I forgot. I don't have a collection that's like a lot of people, but I have quite a few, and we'll have some fun with it. But I always thought, this is the back in the days of albums. I actually did a couple of. One of them was a teen get together. I was in my, I wasn't that much older than them, but I was probably in my way early 20s, 21, 22, somewhere there, 23, no more than 23. And they were having a teen get together at their family's home. It was all under chaperones and stuff, and they wanted some music played. So I pulled some things that asked them what they liked, and we found what I had that would fit that, and I did that. I kind of disc jockeyed the get together, and it was my neighbors across the way, and they were good people, and I was able to do that. So a couple of times I've done stuff like that. So if you were ever a disc jockey or you thought about being one, today is National Disc Jockey Day, as well as Cheese Day, and the only other one we have today is it's National Butter Crunch Day. I don't know where they get all this stuff, but it recognizes the flavorful toffee candy that comes in several varieties. Butter Crunch Day. Butter Crunch is a combination of toffee covered with chocolate, has a crunchy texture and a caramel flavor. Variations on the recipe include toasted almond sprinkles. I could eat that though; it looks good from the picture I have here. So I could ride with that. But I probably more identify with the National Disc Jockey Day than I do any of that. Spinning the tunes, Uh, I admire. Now today it's all electronic, of course, technology and machines run most of it. I still like the radio programs that, and we're having a little trouble with Instagram. So on the Instagram side, if we've lost you, and you wouldn't know that, um, we'll just see. I don't know, but I think hopefully it's still up. But it's saying that we're having some trouble streaming. Maybe it's straightened out. Instagram does that sometimes, but um, I still like a live host on the radio. I don't like this canned stuff, And for all it's funny, all the people that in our area, and I never was a huge fan. I've heard them. Of course, they're retired now, but the John Boy and Billy show, that was not live. That was all recorded the day before. I didn't know that for years. I get it because they're doing all these skits and stuff, and it would be, I guess, just a whole lot to manage live. But people just went with it. It felt like it was live. They set up everything like they were live. But I like the live show, even mistakes and all. That's part of the thing. Back in the day when me and Daryl were kiddos in our area, we had the morning zoo. They were very popular, and I know the reason why. They were funny. I mean, they laughing, funny, cutting up, acting silly. When you're when you're getting up in the morning, you really don't want to hear too serious. Most people don't. I mean, you're already facing the day. You don't want to get up. You don't want to get moving. You want something to kind of get you moving. And there's been that morning, group, and I think it's better to have more than one because you kind of play off each other. So it's good. It's good to have two, three, four, maybe no more than that, but three's probably really good. And or if you have three and then plus a person who's doing weather or traffic or whatever, I listen to that. I find myself listening to it. I have satellite radio in the car. Of course, I play it on my phone if I want to, and I only have the small package. I've brought it down. But if you have a satellite radio and they always try to jump your charges up, just quit. That's all you got to do. Just call them up, or you can actually go in and just message the bot and say, I want to cancel my subscription, and watch about $40 get cut off your bill, 30, $40, because they'll keep trying to bump you up. You got to do that every year or two, though. You got to just say, I'm done. and you'll get it for about $10 or less, a month. So you can, there's all different kind of packages you can use. I think mine is just some music and some sports. So you don't have to have everything, but just quit. Call them up, yeah, I'm done, and they'll do it. But a lot of people just let them escalate that. But a lot of those shows are not live. I'm sure a lot of them are probably recorded. Some of them I can tell are, but some of them are not. But I like the live show. I get it. Sometimes you got to have a show that's in the can, kind of run it because sickness or whatever. But it's for the better or the worse. I'm live. I'm not. This is not a recorded. Now I do play some uh, live pre-recorded videos, but that's just to put the program out at different times of the day. I try to always put in the comments, this is a replay. A lot of people haven't seen it, but they think we're on. Let's say, hey guys, we're not there. I'll see them. I try to comment back. I see them pop up on my phone, but especially when I'm at work, it's just dead time, and I try to rerun some of the shows, like especially interviews or some special show that we had, or I thought was a show that was really come out really good. Some of them like, oh, I ain't replaying that. But things that really funny. Some funny things happen. I try to do that, but we go live. In the early days of the podcast, we always recorded everything. We weren't allowed to go live. We didn't have enough, followers or whatever it was. You had to have to do that. So we recorded everything. And we did. We still didn't go back and touch it up or do anything like it. Hello, Jerry. Thanks for the like. We didn't go back and touch it up or anything. I only think of a couple of times where we actually redid something. It was because we just had a technical problem. It was bad. We always left the rough parts in where we failed. we just went with it, and we always want to be real like that. You're not looking at something perfect. Sometimes the voice is not perfect. Sometimes technology is not perfect. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is not perfect. But like I said, for the better or worse, it's live. So we work hard to make sure that it's going to be a good product. We work hard pre-show to try to get that done. Like right behind me, I was playing my little fire scene and it quit. It's just giving me it's been acting up this morning. So it's live. It is what it is. If it messes up real bad, I just cut it off. So I've got a straight wire, and I think that's part of the problem is the Wi-Fi. But we're always making improvements. We do a lot of pre-production and stuff like that, post-production. We talk over things. Most of the time, there's especially afterwards, we're talking about where we're going and what we want to do and how we're going to get there. And so there's a lot of thought put in, a lot of work put in behind the scenes to try to have the best we can. I mean, we are what we are. not gonna improve too much on looks or anything like that, but we are, just we're real. And I like the real. I like real. I'm going to make sure that I don't, come across horribly. I've seen people do that sometimes with their show. They just they don't do a good job with making sure like that. They go on when they're really silly. I've seen some people make that mistake, and it's really bad that they do stuff like that, and they just shouldn't go on. I mean, if the examples I would use would be people, and I don't drink or not in 30 years, but I've seen some people do that. They go on, they've had a few, and they quite honestly, it's very embarrassing for them, and I would hope that they would not do something like that. I just don't, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them in a bad light either. I consider them friends, but I have seen people do that, and sometimes shows get out of hand. I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but it is what it is. It's on my mind. I never understood people letting shows get away from them. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. There's a couple things we've always kind of stood on. We're not going to let people be picked on. I muted what I consider a friend the other day. He's mad at me, I guess, right now. There's one thing I'm not gonna allow. I'm not gonna allow people to attack the guest or the host. You can be passionate about your responses, but you just can't. You can't. I will. You can't. I saw that pop up, but I didn't see what it was. You just can't do that, and that's just common decency. You don't do that. I don't know. I have so many apps on my phone. It's kind of crazy. So. Oh, that's a good old picture right there. WFLI, absolutely. Wow, I used to not FLI. I actually used to clean the studios WDOD. There you go. If you can see that, oh, the lighting is going to keep it too bright. I think. Let me see if I can. There it is, a little bit. You can kind of see the. Um, I hate that. It is what it is. I'm trying to bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. It's trying, it's trying, it's trying, but you can see the studio there. So cool. How about that? What's that hat? What does that say? I can't quite make the hat out, but I love that. I love that. That's what I love, and the magic, and listen, I think video, it took me a long time to get used to video. It really did. A heck of a long time to get used to video. Uh, but I was always radio, and you don't see anybody. You can imagine them. It's really crazy. I used to imagine the audience out there when I did. It's almost like I could, I don't feel them, sense them, or whatever. But we didn't have feedback on some of that. Meaning not feedback, but somebody saying, unless somebody called, you don't get that. Ole Miss, okay. The way it was, I just couldn't make it out. That's cool though. Oh my goodness, jet fly. I love, and that's why I wish, there's a part of me that I wished I had got involved and stayed with it as at least on the side, because, and we had on months ago, maybe it's been a year ago now. We had on was the to me of all the things we've ever did as a podcast, the greatest get for us on a local level was Earl Friedenberg interview. He was so gracious. This guy is a legend. He knows everybody. And they still get together and have those get-togethers. A lot of them have passed on, but he had so many great stories, and I think he gave us like an hour or something, 45 minutes to an hour, and it was just, it took us a little bit of time to arrange it. Uh, it was really, and he wrote on the fly, no pun intended. He wrote a little outro as he went off on the interview, and we've kept that. I've still got it. He did a little outro about us and kind of wrote it up, because that's what, he's used to that. So he writes this little thing as he's closing, that he said something very gracious for us, and I'll tell you, that touched me more than anything that has ever been accomplished with this podcast. And we actually have talked to David Carnes. Uh, we're trying. There's some people. There's some connections there. We just never been able to line up. A lot of these people are busy, but we were given like cell phone numbers and stuff. We just wanted to highlight these people, and they don't get on the air all the time anymore, but give them a platform. It was more about them than it was ever about us. But I say us. This was back when me and Rob were working together. But Earl Friedenberg's amazing, and I love his. I follow his post because he's really always showing old pictures and stuff, and he just has so much knowledge. I don't know if he's ever written a book about his career, but he's probably forgotten more than most people ever remember. And when you go to I said David Carnes. It's not David Carnes. It's David. What is his last name? Anyway, he used to be on, but they really, that's a community. That's a club. And there's still many of them. I miss Head Now. I miss those guys, that have passed on, and just so many great characters. It is a killer community, and it's the radio. Very few times were any of those guys ever on TV. They weren't TV people; they were radio people. And those stories of the '70s in our area for radio is classic. They was one time they were doing a marketing thing where I think this was Jet Fly, where they pretended there was a tiger loose in town. It got out of hand. If you remember that, I think it was a tiger. Wasn't it a tiger? And people started. This is a power of persuasion. People started calling in sightings of the tiger, whatever it was. It was a lion tiger or something like that. It's like they called in sightings of it. There was no story. It's like there was nothing loose. It was all just a gimmick, and but it was hilarious. But they got a little worried. It got out of hand. But it was effective. It was effective, and I mean, when you go back and let's say like a group, music group was coming in town. They always went on the radio. You couldn't see them. You could not see them, but you could hear them, and it was just magical. Yes, absolutely. That's the gold standard right there. And Earl would tell you that too. That was the guy, and a long, illustrious career, and everybody loved him. He was the standard everybody looked at, but there are tons of those stories about things that happened, things they did to keep it on the air. They had breakdowns, things with the transmitter, all that stuff. I could listen to that. And there are a group of people that's trying to keep all those stories collected and and out there for people, because it has all changed. I mean, there are some still today radio DJs in the area, and it's a dying art, really. I mean, and with AI, it's probably going to push it over the hill. It won't for me, but that's what's going to happen. And it's really the canned stuff, all the national stuff that people buy, just put on. I applaud. With John Boy and Billy going out. And I don't listen to that station a lot, but with John Boy and Billy going out, I for the morning stuff, I would turn over sometimes on the way to work or something, just to see what they were giggling about. But they have that was recorded the day before, like I said. But they've hired in a live DJ, KZ106, right? They actually have a live DJ. His first day was last week. I just happened to flip over there, dropping the kiddo at high school, and I went, "Oh, there's the guy's first day." I'd heard about it. I saw it on the internet where this guy came. I forget where he comes from, but he was just having people call in and say where they were from, and they were welcoming him on his first day. I loved it because that's live, that's live, and I just think people get tired of the bots. We're faced with that everywhere in life, because you don't get to talk to nobody. Tommy Jet, that's a hey now guy. Tommy Jet shot a pistol through the roof of WFLI in the right. Wow, I didn't know that. I don't think I ever heard that one. Wow. I saw Tommy Jet, of all places, at the courthouse. And he was there supporting someone like we were. And we were all waiting in a hall to be able to enter into the courtroom. And they hadn't opened the courtroom yet. They had us all standing there. And it was lined up down the hall. We could come in the courthouse. They didn't let us in the courtroom. I was just standing right across from him. And, he had on that rose petal ring and all that. He had all the rings on. And somebody was there with him. And it was almost like what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? A groupie. I don't know who they were, but boy, were they just taking care of him. I mean, making sure he was just perfect. It was almost like a press secretary or something. But and everybody always thought he met Elvis because of he always talked about Elvis. He never met Elvis, but I always thought he did. And if you go down, Daryl, and I'm sure you know this, I guess he lived over that way after he had a really bad car wreck, and it just never really was the same, but he passed. But there's a little short road named after him. And you pass that down in the valley. I always thought they should have gave him a bigger road. I mean, come on, it's like when I mean short, it's short. But hey, they got it on the sign. But yeah, the hijinks at your local radio station, those are classic things. And that could be wherever. They always said that the TV show WKRP in Cincinnati was based on an Atlanta radio station. And they because, and I forget which one they did that on. I don't remember if it was Z93 or whatever it was, but just the characters that was based on that. But it's not a lot of money. It's a lot of work, But again, it goes back to your passion, which is what I started out in the beginning. If that's what you wanted to be, you didn't go into it for money. Now, some people have made great success, especially in our day with the satellite and all that stuff, and some of these syndicated shows. They've made some good money. I mean, they're wealthy. But for most DJs, they did it. They didn't do it because they were making a lot of money. They made enough to get by like anybody else. And a lot of them worked second jobs. In fact, what's the guy's name? He still does work for talk radio. Oh man, what Daryl does all the mock stuff. Oh, I can't think of his name. He he's worked two jobs. I mean, he's got a family. He's you do it because you love it. And so really he has three jobs. He has the mocks, basketball, football, whatever he does, and he has the radio, and then he's done side jobs to make it work. So he's worked a lot. I know one time he was driving that shuttle back and forth to Nashville, and I think that was his run, was the Nashville run from Chattanooga to Nashville and back 3 times a day. That's what they do. Or if that's the run, yeah, that's how many, they run them all throughout the day, but he would do 3 a day. He told me about, or he told the radio, Jim Reynolds. Thank you. I need help. Jim Reynolds, and he told a story. It's not been that long ago. I don't think he works for the shuttle anymore, but he was telling a story about when he was going up there. He took a guy that was headed to Vegas to gamble, and the guy hit. Like the guy hit and so when he come back, it was a fluke that he got the same guy on return, because this is like, I don't know, a few days later, a week later, whatever it was. And the guy gave him one heck of a tip. It was like the best ever. I forget how much it was, but it was really good. And he's like, "Hey, share the wealth, man. I hit it. I hit big." And he remembered him, and he appreciated his kindness and everything as he drove him up to the Nashville airport. And then when he turned, he just happened to have him on the return trip. Those kind of stories are pretty cool. But local radio, like I said, when you go in, I mean, radio stations, I mean, you have the sales area is bigger than the where you do the radio show from, right? They're constantly trying to make money, constantly driving those sales. I mean, that's to be that ad person. They burn out. I mean, there are people that have probably done that for a long time, but a lot of people don't stay in that more than a year or two. That's why you always hear on those stations, we're looking for someone to sell ads for the radio station. Because it is cold calling, it is working the sales you already have, and making sure those stay up. You're running all kinds of specials and stuff, trying to get. That's not an easy thing. Some people are made to do that, and some people are not. But it's the lifeblood of a radio station or any kind of media like that. You're trying to sell those ads, and radio still does do really well on people getting their money's worth for it's all went up. But it is proven, you look at talk radio in our area, they have a huge reach, and they go quite a bit of distance away. And it's proven that their ads work. I mean, in fact, I know a guy that used to work for him. He was the salesman. He was the guy that did. And he was a young guy, but he did it for the experience, to get involved with DJing and all that stuff. But he made a lot of money, and those ads work. I mean, if you got a company, it's expensive, but it will get people coming your way, and that's why they're able to be around. People listen to radio. Radio's not dead. I'm glad of that, And there's a lot that goes with that now. I mean, they're multi, putting the show on MP3s or whatever. There's a lot to it more than it used to be, but there's still those places that have the live DJ, they have live sports that they're calling, or whatever, or they're popping in on their show, and I like that. Like I said, when I'm listening to someone, no matter how, I go back and listen to shows and interviews and stuff like that. But when I'm listening to somebody, I want to know they're live. I don't know why that's important to me, but it is for me. I just want that connection. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it. It's always a work in progress. Watchman, I used to listen to Neil Bort's show every morning on the way to work in Atlanta, and I used to listen to Bort's. I kind of miss him, really. I miss Neil Bort's. I didn't agree with everything. What was his biggest fight? What was his biggest thing? You remember? It's flat tax, right? What I mean later, and I always heard him talk about the flat tax. That was one of his big things. In fact, when Earl Friedenberg was on, there was a big show in Atlanta that he talked about. I've heard of it. I don't think I ever listened to it. Earl Friedenberg would listen to their show, which was on earlier, and he would glean ideas, and then he would put them on his show. Because we all borrow, steal, whatever you want to say from each other. You take the idea, you change a little bit, whatever. Well, the guy calls him up one day or something and says, "Hey, I understand you've been using some of my stuff on your show." So he thought, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." And the guy said, "Hey, man, I find that the greatest compliment." He goes, "Any way I can help you, just let me know. Use it. It's a brotherhood." And I think that was great. He was a young guy on the radio, and so Daryl, how long did you do that? Like, was you involved with radio or something like that? I just think it's great, man. I knew there's a connection there. Absolutely. I didn't want to give a shout out today. I always do birthdays, celebrity birthdays, and there's a couple I wanted to give a shout out to. Most of them I'm not going to mention, but I do want to say today is Buzz Aldrin's 95th birthday. Buzz Aldrin. Whether you believe they went to the moon or not, they did something. He's 95 years old today. And today is Paul Stanley's birthday from the rock band Kiss. Can you believe he is 73 years old today? Wow. 73 years old. There's a few others, but but that's the ones that stand out to me today is Paul Stanley and Buzz Aldrin. 4 years. I bet you, and you know more than me. I never did it. I went into studios, but I bought time. So I'd work with engineers. I'd go early and get ready, but after the show, I would sit around and talk to the engineer for sometimes an hour or two. And it was fascinating to talk to the engineer, and the guy that I was talking to, he was from up north, and he talked about working at radio stations up north and stuff. So we used to have, and he always gave me a compliment. I'm not bragging on me, but he always said, because I did like radio and I understood things, he always said, "You understand." He said, "You understand what I go through," and meaning that when you're in there preaching, okay. When I pastored in Tiftonia, cool. My wife is from Tiftonia. When he because he said some of them come in here and they don't. He said, "I want the best sounding show that we can get for you." Some people, he said, don't don't care. They don't even pay attention. And he goes, they're constantly throwing all my equipment out. I have to dial it back in, as they say. In the old days, that's what they called about dialing it in. And he said, "You get it." He said, "You stay consistently around the mic. You understand pitch and all that." And I would watch him, and if he would give me, you got to watch engineer. If he gives you a signal like good or, bring it down a little bit, I would try to work with him, and he appreciated that a lot. And so that was cool. And this guy, his dad was in a gospel group in Michigan. And believe it or not, they had interviewed, or it was an interview. Oh man, because it was between one guy and way back in the day. God, man, I cannot for the life of me remember names. But the Southern guy, the one that goes they bring all the singings around. It's been around forever. Help me, Daryl. They bring all the singers together and they tour and all that. He interviewed for it. Great piano player, great songwriter and singer, and he didn't get the gig. This other guy did. I think it was his dad, because he thought that was a neat story. But they were all very young at the time, and it just wasn't meant to be. Wasn't in God's hands. Watchman says that he worked for CSN 88.1 FM satellite radio. Or you work for? I work for. Okay, awesome, man. That's cool. Our transponder was on Atlanta Highway in Athens across from the old Kmart. Very nice. Gaithers, yes, Bill Gaither. He actually tried out for the same gospel group as his dad, and his dad got the gig. I thought that was a pretty funny story. I met a ton of Southern gospel groups. I bet you meet the real people, right? Not not what's on the stage sometimes. Yeah, the Gaither brothers. Thank you for that. Paul Belcher. Oh yeah, that's a name that stands out. That's cool stuff. Yes, Ernest. I understand. I'm just pointing out that it was his birthday. You throw these things out there. No, he didn't go to the moon. What Bart Sabel exposed it all. Okay, I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying they're that's what he's famous for. Fake. Okay, I get it. But Buzz Aldrin is a known person. It's his 95th birthday today. Oh man. Well, and think about how much it's all going to be fake as we get into AI and everything. Oh my gosh, is that even real? Is that picture? Is it video? It's getting hard to tell the difference sometimes in these things. Well, true, true, Ernest. I get that. Time to speak the truth and come clean. Cut the cake and cut the BS. That's right. If you're still alive, there's time to say, uh, my name is, and I need to tell the nation this. You imagine if they would let him do that? Can you imagine the outcry? Um, Watchman says the Van Allen radiation belt and 1/6 gravity is all I have to say. Ernest says, I am a science graduate and I know BS when I see it. Well, you got to be able to be discerning. But, there are people who fight you over this. They will. I knew that was. I like throwing things out. See, that gets the blood pressure up. See, it wakes you up for your day. Like, no, that didn't happen. Fake. That's my job. Throw it out there. Just see what sticks. we definitely impacted the people today. Oh, we have to have a show on that. God, that'd be a trip. Oh man, I was watching one of your videos that you posted the other day, Watchman. I didn't got through with it yet, but I was watching it. Yeah, fake news. Yeah, Watchman. A lot of fake news out there. There's for sure. It's like Fort Knox, right? What's in Fort Knox? Is it an empty warehouse? Ain't no gold in there. Oh, the image of everything is all you need. Well, we go back to those radio stories. I mean, people thought those were real events. Like people will fall for anything. I mean, they will fall all over themselves to believe something. Just because somebody said it. It's dangerous. It's amazing how much of the populace just goes, okay, yeah. And you got people out here calling out, going, wait a minute. That can't be right. And here's why. and for the rest of our lives, however long that is, every one of us, because I hear it multiple times a day. It came up in a meeting yesterday that around 2020, yes, the time of the big C word. I say that because some things you can't even talk about it. They'll cut you out. But I'm talking about. All of our lives are now impacted by that time frame, from the kids on up. That is the point in time. 1,000 years from now, if we're still rushing along like we are, that one's going to stand out. Pre and post COVID. So anyway. We were talking about all the lunacy. In fact, a friend of mine was showing me the company he worked for, and they were shut down, like everybody had to shut down. And he goes, he's got a picture and he was taking a picture for his boss of the people coming in to clean the building, hazmat, complete. Don't tell them what that cost. They're coming in to scrub everything from top to ground, spray stuff and all that. So he takes a picture of him to send to his boss, and his boss said, "What are you wearing?" Because he's behind the camera, and he goes, "Jeans and a t-shirt." Because these guys are fully dressed out. No, I don't want no winter storm. There'll be no milk, no bread. I don't know what's going to happen, man. I mean, I've heard it all over the place. We're definitely going to get something. It's going to start with a mixture, right? Or rain, then mixture, then snow. We're not used to that around here. Yeah, the scamdemic destroyed my American dream. Those COVID idiots. But it is a point in time. We'll never forget it. We'll never forget it. Even if we want to forget it, it's always going to come up. Everything changed. I remember the time they sent me home from school. I could not go to school. I got cheated out of a college graduation. Oh, they wanted me to come back the next year. Like, forget it. I wanted to walk they did a virtual thing. I just put my card in there. I didn't even watch. I wanted to walk across the stage. Oh, no, we're not allowed to. High school graduations canceled. People not being able to be with their loved ones as they died. How sad is that? That's criminal. So, Daryl, how much snow you think we're going to get? That's the nasty word right here, the S word, snow. I don't fear snow. I fear ice. That creates real havoc in our area. It just does not. We don't do good with ice. We can deal with some snow. Ice, not good. I hope we don't see nothing like that. I truly hope we don't see anything like that. Oh my goodness. You guys and gals are awesome. Thank you for being on here this morning. I do got to go because I do have kids going back to school today, and I got to drop some kids off. I'm off work today. I got some things to get done at home. I will be back on this evening. We have the interview with Jess Harton, not Martin, Harton, who is the driver that we talked to her husband tonight. Just we're going to talk to her, and that should go live around 5:45 or 6. She has an amazing career. I'm talking to her. I've talked to her through text and on the phone, and she is a special person. You can just tell. Yeah, it depends on the good Lord. That's right, Daryl. It depends on the good Lord. He'll decide what we need and what we don't need and all that. So we'll just have to navigate that. You remember I know Daryl, where was you at in the blizzard of 93? That's another one for our area. The blizzard of 93. Wow, there were people in our area that were trapped for a while. No power for months. The outlying areas. There were people that and thank goodness they're overcomers because everybody had to get out with their chainsaws and cut their way out because there were so many fallen trees and stuff. It was bad. I can still remember the radio stations turned into basically distress calls. Can anybody get up Mowbray Mountain with some kerosene to this street or stuff like that? It was scary actually to think about that people got caught flat-footed, not ready. Because we never thought it would happen like that here. We just didn't think it would happen. And all right, 4 feet. Good Lord, that's crazy. We're just not ready for things like. I mean, I get it. Mr. Harton up there in Canada, he's probably prepared to navigate that because they have to deal with it on a yearly basis. But we're not down here. And what about the other day? I mean, South Georgia got all this snow. We didn't get nothing. That's weird. That's what concerns you. When we have storms come out of that area like that Texas track, that's when we get nailed. Forget the ones out of Nashville. That very rarely does anything for this area where we live. But that track out of Texas coming that way, that's the one, if that was hurricane, that'd be the one be going, uh-oh. those are bad. Storms too. It's always those storms coming out like that for tornadoes and stuff. That's the one that really rips us. It's like it comes in the back door or something. But the other day it was south and middle Georgia. I mean, Rome, right around Rome, they got snow. We were all clear. It's cold. Oh my goodness. Hey, everybody have a great day. Thanks you so much. Give us a like, follow, share. Appreciate you checking in when you can. Ernest, good to hear from you. Glad God we got your pressure up a little bit this morning. Watchman says, no, ain't no way we land on no moon. Where'd they do that at? Burbank, California? One small step for man, whatever it was. Oh my goodness. Oh, what people will believe. You know, a magician never does anything really but fool your eyes. That's all they do, right? They don't make nothing disappear, but you believe they have. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. I appreciate a whole bunch. I had a friend call, yesterday. We talked and was sending their prayers, and I appreciate that very much. I said, I'll take prayers from any way, any direction I can get them. So always. And where did you pastor at, Daryl, when you were up in Tiftonia? I was curious. I was going to ask that. Where did you pastor at up in Tiftonia? That's a neat little community. By the way, that little store up there, that store was there when my wife was a kid. Odell's, they got some good neat stuff there. That they've survived. That's good. Oh, do you know what? Buzz should go back to the moon and get that flag on his cake. Oh. Yeah, we got the car up there. They left that car too, right? They're riding around in. Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, they're building up the Huntsville area. I mean, it has built, for his 96th birthday, go back and Grace Baptist Tabernacle on Isabel Road. Shout out to them this morning. Shout out to them. I didn't do a small town shout out, so today we'll do Tiftonia. That's a neat little area. It's becoming Yuppieville. I probably shouldn't say that, but in one area of Tiftonia, they're starting. It's becoming yuppie. That's the overflow from Chattanooga. Oh yeah, you can see it. There's still a lot of small town folks up there, but it's Yuppieville. I say that I'm all due respect to all yuppies or everywhere, but you can see it. My wife's dad and mom and sister and some aunts, I think an aunt and uncle, they're all buried up there in that cemetery. What is the name of that road? You go out towards the ferry, but you don't go all the way out. God, I know it. She always has to remind me the name of the road, but see you, buddy. Thank you, Ernest. God bless you this morning. She always has to. I remember how to get there, but she always tells me the name of it. We go out and try to. In fact, we got to get out and do a little cemetery work there because that cemetery, they don't take care of it like they should. So we got to go out and do some work on that. I got to get some of that glue to use on. I saw a kid's tombstone just broke. The glue just fell down. We're gonna get some of that stuff. It's amazing stuff. We're gonna put that back up. I don't think nobody's paying attention to it. It's been a while, but that's what happens. You got to do that. All right, we're out. Let's get these kids to be beating on the door. We got to go. We're out of here. We'll see you this evening if we can. If not, we'll see you when we see you. Take care. God bless, and God bless America.